Hi, welcome to the Quickcity workshop. My name is Christoph, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to deal with taps, leaking taps and specifically, and I'm going to show you how taps work and what you can do if you have a problem with leaking taps. Now, they are beautiful, ornamental and very designer and functional taps, taps in the shower. You get taps that has got mixing things in, but today's video is more about the ordinary tap with only one valve, and there's a cutaway. You can see the inside of those taps. As I was saying, those taps, when you cut them through, you can actually see that the inside is cast in a special way so that there's a little channel that separates the one side from the other side. And there's a thing with a screw that when you tighten it and loosen it, that valve goes up and down. The water's under pressure on the one side, and then as soon as you open it, the rubber lifts up and the pressure is released. Now if you close it, that rubber presses down on the surface, and when there's pitting or cracks, or if the rubber is old and hard, it causes dripping. So let's go to my kitchen and sort out my leaking taps. Important to shut down your water mains before you do all of this. Now the first thing that you'll notice, the little screws. There's little screws on the tap that holds the handle in place. So that must first be removed. Those screws, sometimes they are hard to get out and you can break them off, so be careful. And then when the tap comes off, there's a cover, nice shiny cover, and if this tap is not being opened for a long time, it can be stuck like it is in this case, and you don't want to damage that nice shiny surface. So I'm using a rag. You can also use a piece of leather and a wrench, and that did the trick. I could open it, and that reveals the screw-in part of the tap. And here also you need to take careful notice not to force it. If it's very stuck, you must support the tap. You don't want to break the tap off in the wall. Just loosen it, and if you remove that whole assembly, then you'll see that on the front end of this there is a rubber and a little screw, a little nut that holds the rubber in place, and that's free to rotate regardless of the other side. And then when you open and close it, that screw lowers and raises the rubber. Now inside there is the seat, and although this one looks fine, I always like to just resurface that seat, because I'm using this tool. It's a special tool that's got those cutting blades, and it's brass, so it's not hard material. You can very easily resurface it. You insert the tool into the appropriate thread. There's the various threads on the tool that you can change to fit a tap, and then you lightly press in the blade onto that surface and turn it. And as you turn it, it actually grinds away some of the surface. And if there's pitting, or if there's a rough surface there, then damage, that would cause the tap to leak. There you can see there's a little bit of brass on the blades, And let's see, after I've done a light pass on this, you can actually see there's grooves inside there. So I just want to go once more until the whole surface is smooth and shiny. Let's put it once again. And you mustn't overdo this because there's only a certain amount of material in there, and if you keep on doing this, you'll end up with no seat left. So I'm just doing it lightly and checking, and until I am 100% satisfied. Let's do it once more. Just very light pressure. You can always practice on an old tap if you are not comfortable in doing this on your installed taps. So after I've done it a second time, you can see there's more brass shavings on the blade. Let's see what it looks like now with the torch. I'm gonna peek in there. Much better. See, it's all shiny. It's a nice surface. The rubber can seal on it. I don't have to over tighten the tap to make it stop dripping, because that's what you want. You don't want to have to tighten it too much, then the rubber goes also misforms the rubber. So it's ready to go to the other end and replace the rubber on that. So for this you'll need a vice grip and a small spanner. So I'm pinching it lightly with a vice grip, and this little screw can also be stuck. If it's stuck, don't force it. I've broken off some of them because I put too much force. It's only brass, it's not a very hard material. This one is not stuck, but if it's stuck, then you can always use a small, like a cigarette lighter, just to heat that nut up a little bit, like this. You just apply some heat on the nut, and you can always also squirt in some penetrating oil, and that will, and then work it back and forth a bit. Like tighten it a bit, loosen it a bit, like that. And then that little screw will come out without breaking the threads off. With this screw removed, the nut removed, I can go ahead and install a brand new washer. You can also see someone installed this washer the wrong side. The writing, the letters, was facing the seat. That's also a mistake that you can make. If there's any graphics or writing on the rubber, rather put it towards the back, not towards the seat. These rubbers are not expensive, they're very cheap. There's a little packet. It was only like 5 Rand for a packet. And you also get various sizes, so you must make sure that you use the correct size. That size is too big, it doesn't fit in there. So I need the smaller rubber. It's always good to keep some of these in your drawer, just for when there's a leaking tap. It only takes a few minutes to replace a rubber, but we need to save water. We don't want water wasted. So there you can see there's the two types. I'm going to use the smaller one, fit it on there, and then when I retighten that little nut, also I'll make sure that it doesn't misform the rubber. Don't over tighten it, only tighten it until it's down on the rubber, and maybe give it half a turn more, but don't just carry on tightening it. It's not, it will distort the rubber. Again, I'm using the vice grip, just pinching it a little bit, and then I'm tightening the nut. Yeah, that's about, I can feel that's a good pressure there. So now all that's left is to reinstall this part of the tap, and then I can open my water again, and I won't have leaking or dripping taps. There's one thing, there's a little seal on the back there. You can see there's a little rubber seal at the back. Just check also if that rubber is okay. If not, replace that also. That one still looks fine. I'm just going to put it back as it is. It's also very important, there's the rubber seal. It's very important to make sure that the rubber seal is all the way back against that part, and it's also important to make sure that the tap is open, in the open position when you tighten this, because you don't want to force that new rubber on the seat. So make sure that your tap is in the open position, that is so that rubber is away from the seat when you tighten this. And then lastly, see the tap is open. Lastly, there's a little grommet inside there in this assembly, and if you tighten that nut, you'll feel that the tap will go tighter, and if the tap's leaking around the shaft there, then it means that nut is not tight enough. So you tighten that a little bit until you feel that the tap has got a little bit of resistance, not too much. You don't want a tight tap, just a little bit of resistance, and that will make sure that water won't squirt out around the shaft when you close it or when the tap is open, because that leaking in that area can also cause corrosion inside there. So I'm assembling the cover, and I'm just hand tightening it. It will be easier to replace next time. And reinserting the small screw to hold the tap handle in place. And we're done. So I'm sure if I reopen my mains now, my tap will be 100%. There you have it. That's how you can replace any rubber washer in any tap. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and hit that like button, and I'll see you next week.